This is episode number 30 with Elena Brower. Welcome to the Melissa Ambrosini Show. I'm your host, Melissa, best-selling author of Mastering Your Mean Girl, and I'm here to remind you that love is sexy, healthy is liberating, and wealthy isn't a dirty word. Each week, I'll be getting up close and personal with thought leaders from around the globe to uncover the habits, mindsets, tools, and rituals that they have used to become world-class so that you can create epic change in your own life and become the best version of yourself possible. Are you ready, beautiful? Elena is a mama, a renowned author, teacher, and speaker. She's the author of Art of Attention, an artful yoga book, now translated into 6 languages, and the creator of Teach.yoga, a virtual home for yoga teachers worldwide. And her next book, Practice You, will be released in September 2017. I first met Elena at one of her yoga classes in 2012 in New York, and I was blown away by her beautiful presence and grace. This woman is a true goddess and a heart-centered leader, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear from her today. In today's episode, we chat about conscious parenting and leading and how to lead by example, how blended families can co-parent with grace, why lying to your children will break their respect, how to love yourself unconditionally, why compassion is the key to self-love, what a powerful miracle practice is and why it's imperative to conscious creation, the power of a daily practice for radical self-love, the breath exercise to rock your daily practice and amp up your self-love, how to bust through limiting beliefs and how to rewrite your fear-based stories, plus so much more. For everything that we mention in today's episode, you can check out in the show notes, and that is at melissaambrosini.com/30. And without further ado, let's bring on the beautiful, stunning goddess, Elena Brower. Beautiful Elena, welcome. I'm so grateful to have you here. But before we dive into all the juiciness, can you please tell us what you had for breakfast this morning?
This morning was the first morning that my son walked himself to school. He's 10. So it was a little bit strange. I struggled not to watch him walk out of the building from the window. We live on the 21st floor, and I could have very well watched him walk out the door downstairs with the doorman, but I didn't. And instead, I turned around and I had 2 pieces of gluten-free toast. One had ghee on it with pepper and salt and turmeric, and the other had olive oil, really good olive oil from my friend's farm in Provence, with salt and avocado slices. And I just sat and ate it for a little while, and I realized that was the end of an era.
How beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then I took out my Unbakery book from New Zealand, and I got a cacao coconut maca smoothie going for dessert.
Oh, goodness me. I'm coming over.
Yeah. Boy, it was weird. It was really weird.
Yeah. That's crazy. I have an 11-year-old stepson, and
yes,
there's no way. No, he can't walk to school yet. He's too little.
Well, we live 2 blocks.
Oh, that's okay.
I know. We live only 2 blocks away. We're on the Upper East Side. It's very safe here. Every doorman between here and school knows him. So everyone has a little bit of an eye out for that sort of thing.
Beautiful. Well, I am so grateful to have you and to share your wisdom with my beautiful audience today. And I'd love to know, have you always been this yogi, meditating, self-loving goddess that you are today? Can you take us back and tell us about your journey and how you got to where you are today?
I was definitely not this person. I was not loving myself. I was not kind to myself. I was in a lot of habits and all kinds of negativity for quite some time. I started as a clothing designer when I graduated from Cornell, and I was designing clothing and textiles, and I did that for 6 years on and off for a few different companies, and I loved it. And I was living in Italy, and I had a really nice life and lifestyle in my early 20s. And I was doing yoga, but I definitely was not taking care of myself by any stretch. I was, eating kind of whatever I wanted. And I was smoking a lot of cigarettes and really feeling like that was my reward for being a good girl. And there was not a lot of self-love going on, let's say. When I started to get trained to teach yoga was when things started to get a little more interesting. And as these things happened before I got nicer and kinder to myself, it actually got worse, as always. And I was pretty addicted to marijuana for a long time. And I really felt like that was my escape. That was also my treat, my reward. And my mom, rest her soul, she died about 1.5 years ago. When I was small, her most peaceful moments were when she was driving in the car and she would have her hand holding her cigarette out the window, and I could feel her whole body kind of relax. Or she was on the phone at the house and she would step outside in the sliding glass door and go outside and have a cigarette and relax. So always the grounded, releasing time was around smoking for me. And that was the understanding that I had energetically. So that kind of fed into I'm going to harm myself subconsciously, unconsciously, as my way of treating myself for years, up until I was into my early 40s. And it was 2.5 years ago that I finally quit all of the ridiculous smoking and hurting myself. And now I understand what it means to really take care of myself, love myself, lead by example, and teach other people to take care of ourselves and also lead in their own communities and homes by example. And the trajectory probably started in right around 1998 when I took my first teacher training. Before there were, 1,000 yoga studios. There were 3 yoga studios in New York, and I was getting trained in the third one as it opened with Cindy Lee. And that's how it all began.
Wow. Being a step parent and you being a parent, it's not until you kind of step into that field where you realize, the conditioning that we had growing up really affected and shaped who we are today. So how have you been really mindful of your actions and leading by example, like you said, with your son? I believe that our children are not ours to control, or they are there to walk this journey alongside us. I feel like I'm a guardian and not a controlling step parent with my little boy. So how do you consciously parent, I guess, so that you don't pass on any of, those little habits onto your beautiful little boy?
Well, what I've done is actually walked him through every step of the way. So as soon as I realized that it was time for me to get clean, I actually, after I had my 40 days of clean and knew that this was my path and knew that I had to be a leader in this, albeit reluctantly at first, I had him knowledgeable of what I was doing. And I said, this is what I've done. I had a really bad addiction. this is what it is. And I started to explain it to him little by little because he was still only 7.5 at the time. Now he's 10 and he really gets it, and I can point out to him when people are high and, there's this addiction they're holding them hostage, and, we can now recognize it. But at the time, I basically had him be my sounding board when I was rehearsing the spoken word poem that I created to get over my addiction. It's called The Ritual of Recovery, and it's around on the internet. There's an audio version of it. There's a video version of it. And he was the guy who got to listen to it in all its different iterations and helped me as I memorized it. He now knows it by heart, I'm sure. And so he has a front row seat to somebody healing, and he knows what it means, and he knows how. I didn't really have the hardest time. I knew that it was time, and I knew that I was going to be an example. I knew that I was being used as a vehicle by God to show people how this can be done, publicly, so that we can all heal together, so that I can help my sisters who are struggling and my brothers who are struggling, but, mostly the girls who are hiding, and, he watched the whole thing, and he was awesome. He was such a good support system, and his dad and I are no longer together. We haven't been together for many years, but we're best friends now. And his wife and I are best friends, total soul sisters. Him and my man are total soul brothers. And so we're all in this together. And Jonah's seen us, leave behind the specter of my addiction and all the other weird little confusions and misunderstandings that we were sharing as a foursome together. We've left all of that behind, and he's watched that process. And so he's had a front row seat to something very, very special.
Absolutely. What would your advice be for blended families? Because I'm sure there's a lot of blended families who aren't best friends with their ex-husbands or ex-partners and their new wives. Or what would your advice be to those people?
I'm in the middle of co-writing a book called Your Elegant Divorce.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's an important topic. Mm-hmm. It's a hot topic right now because people are really into being conscious about this. It's happening, and we might as well be great and conscious about it. My advice would be to be open to the fact that you're not going to love everything that is presented to you, but you can love everything that you present. You can be a real clear leader by being kind, being compassionate, being open to the paradigm shifting, being open to the fact that you can actually change the flavor of the story by your own behavior. And it's very possible, barring situations, as I always say, with, chemical dependency or mental illness, anything is possible.
It's funny. There's a lot of social stigma around the ex-partners, and a lot of people, when they find out I'm a stepmom, they always ask, "Oh, well, what's your relationship like with the ex-wife?" They kind of are really curious to see if it's tumultuous, and it's funny how everyone presumes it is, very aggressive or tumultuous. But I love what you said, that we can rewrite it and we can create whatever we want. And of course, when we may not agree with absolutely everything, but we can create what we want. And how beautiful for the child or the children to witness that.
That's right. That's exactly right. That was my priority, was to, just make sure that he was seeing something that would lead him in the direction someday, if God forbid he got married and got divorced, or, somehow he invited this situation close to him, that he would know what the high road really looked like and be able to take it. He would recognize it.
Beautiful. One thing that we have done with Leo is always treat him like an adult. Well, we've always spoken to him how we would speak to, our sisters and brothers, and we've never dumbed him down and, babied him in that sense. How important do you think that is for children?
That's everything. That's everything. Every time I teach about parenting or I offer any of my own experience around parenting, it's always you don't have to be their best friend, but you do have to treat them with respect and treat them as though they are understanding emotionally of what you're talking about. Most likely they are. They have many fewer veils than we have. And so when it comes to matters of the heart, even though they might not have the words or the vocabulary for it, they do have the sensation in their bodies for what is true and what is not true. And so they know if you're lying to them immediately. They can sniff you out a mile away. And if you're lying to them, it just degrades their respect for you so early in life. We all have this experience where we can think about, it was an uncle or a grandfather, somebody in our lives, a dear friend of the family who was just a total bullshit artist. We knew it from a mile away. We could sniff it out. We wanted nothing to do with that person from early on. We couldn't even explain why. Please, Mom, don't make me go near that person.
And like you said, we may not be able to actually articulate it, but we know because we can feel it.
Right. That's the gift that kids have.
Wow. So how has self-love really played a part in getting to where you are today? Like, obviously there was a lot of self-loathing in your early 20s or whenever it was where you experienced these addictions. How has that evolved for you, and how important do you think self-love is?
It's taken a long time, and I can't point to a certain particular moment or experience, but what I can say is the best thing that I ever did was to get into teaching about self-love and self-compassion. Because in teaching about it, I have to learn how to articulate it. And in learning how to articulate it, I actually have to feel it and embody it. I don't have a choice. Otherwise, everyone's going to be able to sniff me out. So in learning how to articulate it, I actually have learned how to feel it, experience it, course it through all of my little cells, and know how to communicate about it. It's been the greatest gift of all, is just to be a teacher.
Absolutely. And there's that saying, we often teach what we most need to learn within ourselves.
Yes, it's very true for me. It always has been. I most needed to learn how to get over my addiction, so I taught it.
Exactly. What would you say to someone who is recognizing within themselves right now that they may not have a loving relationship with themselves or their physical body?
I'm running this mentorship program right now. It's very simple and short and stunning and beautiful because of the people who are in it. We have this private Facebook forum where all of these incredible ideas and creative artworks are being exchanged and shared. And there was one exercise that came through my teacher, Paramatma, Siri Sadhana. She's a Kundalini teacher here in New York. She works between New York and India in Amritsar. And she offers what's called the miracle practice, where she has you take a page, do it in landscape orientation, and write at the top 3 columns equal width. It would be a miracle if. Then take that statement and write it as already true. And then cite 3 actions that you could take toward making that statement a reality. So, for example, it would be a miracle if I really loved and respected myself enough to treat myself compassionately. This would be the example per your question. The second column would be, I respect myself and love myself compassionately. 3 actions I would take: I would go and look in the mirror and practice until it felt absolutely natural, saying to my eyeballs, and focusing on one eyeball only, because that makes it easier in life to focus on the other person's left eyeball is the call. It will help you stay with them. And it's the eye of the truth. Focus on one eyeball and say, I love you. I love you. You're beautiful. I love you. You really are beautiful. You have a huge blemish on your face, and I love you. You are beautiful. And until it's true say it. That's the first action. The second action would be surround yourself with positive affirmations and positive people, positive messages, positive books, positive realities. Don't watch the news. Don't watch the television. This is all sort of encased in that second action. And the third action would be something like make sure that you have a steady stream of grace in your life, of prayer in your life, of God in your life, whatever your word for God is, the universe, spirit, whatever it is, soul. Make sure that there's a steady stream in your life.
I love that. Is there any way we can link to that miracle practice in the show notes or something like that? Is it online anywhere?
No, she does what's called the Space Weather Service, and she offers it on certain times of the month, each month with the moon. What I would do, I can create a little graphic, something pretty that I can photograph for you. And
that would be amazing.
Just the 3 columns. I'll just do it on a piece of watercolor paper and photograph it for you so that you have it. You can include it as a little PDF or something in the show notes.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. I love what you are saying about constantly surrounding yourself. And, it's about that routine and ritual, daily habits, daily routines. And it's often those little things that we do each day that add up to big results or big consequences. And I am fascinated by people's routines and morning routines and what they do in general to set them up for success and for being the best version of themselves and whatever they have to do to set them up to show up to the world as their full self. So how important do you think daily rituals and practices are? And can you take us through some of your non-negotiables?
Lately, my favorite non-negotiable is that my boyfriend and I meditate every morning together. We have this little seat where we sit together. It's so cute. Took me a really long time, and he wasn't into it forever, but then he came over to Oz. He was in Perth for the last 2 weeks shooting a film. He's a creative director, and when he came back, his schedule was all screwed up, and he's the guy who needs to sleep in every morning. And so I would wake up with the sun, I would go and sit and do my thing, my practices, and the non-negotiable being getting up early, taking care of my practice, my writing, my sitting, movement, whatever I can do, breath work, playing the bowls, whatever's clever that day. And now he gets up because he's all jet lagged and it doesn't seem to be going away. He's been home for over a week and he's still waking up 6 o'clock, comes out, sits with me. It's the nicest thing. So that I would say is my first non-negotiable. Definitely just some sort of pranayama in the morning is very important for me, usually just alternate nostril breathing, which is what my teacher, Para Yoga founder, Yoga Rupa Rod Stryker, gave to me when I was cleaning up my body from all of my addictions. Alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, is the king for me. Every morning, I feel all of my bones landing every time I do it. And then we sit for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Beautiful. And it's so beautiful that you get to share that together. How important do you think these little daily rituals and routines are for self-love and setting you up to show up to the world as the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like for each individual?
I think it has to be something personal for everybody. In the mentorship program, I'm having each person develop in week 2, which was the week about compassion. Each week is just one word. And the compassion week, I just had them do a practice between 3 to 5 minutes, no shorter than 3, no longer than 5. So nobody can tell me they can't do it. Nobody can tell me you can't do 3 to 5 minutes. And what is your ritual for developing compassion for yourself? Is it going and looking in the mirror and, having a moment with yourself? Is it giving yourself a dry skin brush or some, oil rub down? It doesn't matter what it is. It can be it can be making your own smoothie in the morning. It can be making your tea slowly and lighting your incense and taking care of a little ceremonious moment with your tea leaves. whatever it is. Make something happen so that you know you have this time with which you are going to connect to yourself. Period. Punto. The end. No question.
Yeah, I love that. Over the years, I have done so many different things, oil pulled and juiced and yogaed and meditated and enemas and saunas and chanting and dancing and swimming and neti pots and all sorts of things I have put in my morning routine. And it's very easy for people to see what other people are doing on social media and, compare themselves and feel like they have to, do what other people are doing. But how can we tune in with ourselves and find what works with us? And would you recommend doing one thing, or would you recommend doing a couple of things? Like, what's really been profound for you and had the most benefit for you personally?
I finally got a juicer, and I do half and half celery and cucumber every day, at least once. That's awesome. It's been for the past several months. Even through the winter, felt really good, feels really good, feels really alive. Just making sure I drink a lot of water, making sure that, like I said, I'm waking up early in the morning and just connecting to myself, connecting to my practice. Everything else, I take my vitamins. I don't know that there's any other thing I would say you have to do this. These are the basics. And that's what I do to take care. Oh, and I do a weekly acupuncture appointment, mainly because the office, I found somebody wonderful who's literally next door to my apartment building in the city. So I walk down there every Monday afternoon. Mondays are the busiest days for my business, for my doTERRA business. And I go down there at 3:00 in the middle of literally everything. And I lay down for an hour, and she knows exactly what to do. She puts all the needles in, closes the door, leaves me alone for 60 minutes. It is the most divine journey every single week. And that is the best reset I know about. That's the one thing I would say, you know what? If you're doing nothing else for yourself, just do that. Go start an acupuncture practice. Start a weekly or even a bi-monthly, something like that.
I see a lot of women who really struggle with gifting themselves that time and the money to go and get acupuncture or go to their favorite yoga class. So what would your recommendation be, or what would you say to someone who's really struggling with that worthiness around taking the time and the money to fill themselves up?
First, I would say, this comes up all the time, first of all, in my business, because I'm running a team of over 4,000 people. It is very popular for us to doubt that we should or could be high earners in the world. And I'm here to break that completely for all of us. And every time I say, go get Kate Northrup's book, which is Money, a Love Story, and open that book up and just start to do even some of the practices that she has us do. First thing, what is your first memory of money? That will tell you everything about how you operate today in the world, what you believe about your own capacities. And then I would say, similar to how we started, write down what you believe about money, all the list of all the beliefs that you have about what's possible. And then, dang it, rewrite them across the piece of paper. Write exactly the opposite thing to what you wrote, to what you believe currently, and try it on. It's like trying on a dress. It's like if you constantly wear big muumuu dresses, I dare you to go put on an Alaya dress and see how that feels. It's going to feel awesome for a minute. It might not feel awesome for a long term, but I dare you to go try it, because you're going to suddenly feel your whole body in a totally different way. And you're going to see, oh, that's why. That's why people play with this a little bit. That's why it feels so good. That's why it's so important to actually believe in myself, because actually money is not poison. It is energy. Money is neutral. The only thing that changes what money is how we think about it. If I think about money from a place of fear, it's going to be a problem for me. If I think about money from a place of love, energy, this is going to help me be charitable. Money is going to funnel through me for great causes and great reasons. It's going to come to me in a totally different way.
I agree. I used to really hold on to my parents' beliefs around money, and I had to do a lot of rewriting of my money story over the years, which has been so powerful, and my relationship with it, and my relationship even with the word abundance. I really had to be mindful of that and do a lot of reprogramming. So it's very possible.
It is. It's always possible. And it starts by us kind of taking a moment to try on other belief systems. That's all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Seeing how it feels in our body and going, okay, this feels really good. I'm going to take this belief system with me, and then it might change and evolve over time as well. But constantly just being open to there being another way.
Exactly.
So I would love to hear, what is one thing that you're currently working on or would like to improve or work on within yourself at the moment? Is there anything that's really front and center for you right now?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is just actually working a little bit less. I love so much what I'm doing right now. It is silly. And I could stay up all night and do it all day.
Yep, I can totally relate.
I could do it all the time. I would never stop. I have a standing desk and I look out over the whole city, and I could just do this all 24 hours a day. What I'm working on now is just like putting a little bit of a boundary on that on the days that I don't already have one. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, the boundary's already there. I have my kid or I have my man. Like we have date night tonight. And after this call, it's just date night. I don't get to open up the computer. I don't get to help anybody. I don't get to do anything. I just get to be with my partner, and it is awesome. We'll take a bath together. We'll chill out together. Tuesday and Thursday is my boy. I have him, and we cook and we chill and we play chess and we watch Chef's Table. And then Wednesdays and Fridays, though, girl, I could go for days. So I'm working on those days, kind of just relaxing in the evenings.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I could, if I didn't have my husband kind of set some firm boundaries for me. Okay, it's time to turn the phone on airplane mode. It's time to close the computer. I am the same as you. I would just keep going and going and going because I love it so much.
Yeah.
But we do need to have that flow between the masculine and the feminine energy, and, go and give ourselves a self-loving, oily massage and do those beautiful things like meditate and yoga. If we just go all the time, we're going to burn ourselves out.
That's right.
I see a lot of women have a lot of guilt, especially entrepreneurs. They have a lot of guilt when they go and stop, and they feel like they've got to be on 24/7, and they've got to be going, and they've got to be on social media, and they've got to be doing everything all the time. How do you deal with that inner pressure that might pop up, or if it does pop up for you?
It doesn't pop up for me. I don't feel that pressure. I just get a lot of delight out of it. That's the truth. I don't really feel pressured at all. I know that everything can happen tomorrow. I just had fun doing it today. Like it's not, I think to the women who do feel that pressure, I would say explore the possibility that you're putting it on yourself, and you don't need to be.
I used to always think that I had to tick off everything on my to-do list and get my inbox to 0 every single day. Otherwise, I was a failure. And I realized something quite profound. And that is that the world isn't going to end if I don't get my inbox to 0 and my to-do list to 0. How's that for a novel idea?
I think that's fantastic. That's fantastic. With my inbox, it used to be at like thousands. Now, as long as I have it under 80, I'm super happy.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, that works for me.
So let's pretend now that you have a magic wand and you can put one book in the school curriculum of every single high school around the world. Now, let's pretend your book's already in there. So just one book that you would love to see in the school curriculum for every single high school?
I'm just looking at my bookshelf right now. Like I want Steiner. I want Anodea Judith to talk about the chakras. I want even Jeff Foster. Like what a writer he is. What a wake up call. Thich Nhat Hanh, maybe. I'm reading Thich Nhat Hanh's books to Jonah at bedtime now, and he falls asleep so peacefully. He's talking about, breathing in, breathing out, and there are so many. I don't even know what to say to that. I can't.
They're all really, really beautiful ones. Thank you. Yeah, they're amazing. We have started to read these sorts of texts to Leo at nighttime, which is just so beautiful. I think back to when my mum used to read to me. I'm like, I would love that if she had have read those books. But I mean, I'm reading them now, which is fine. But it's really important to kind of introduce our children to this world, and the younger, the better. Do you agree?
Yes. There's a part of me that's like, I should have just started doing this sooner. But it's fine. It's fine. Now he really gets it. And now he's like, he'll ask for it when he feels a little wound up. I'll just be like, let's read from the meditation book again. It's a little tiny book called Creating Space by Thich Nhat Hanh, about creating your meditation space and what you should do, and about the bell, inviting the bell. And it's like, oh my God, so cool.
It's so cool. And like you said at the start of the interview, leading by example with your children is something that you feel really connected to. And same with myself and my husband, that leading by example is the best way to inspire. How do you let go when he goes to school or goes out into the world or goes to the parties? Because I know a lot of women that struggle with that.
He's not my kid. He's my kid, but he's not my kid. I have to let go of him. Today was the best practice for me. When I said, you know what, you can totally walk to school by yourself, I was like, okay, this is the beginning. I'm going to get really good at letting him go, letting him figure it out. I let him go to school in a basketball jersey. He goes to a Steiner school. He should not be going to school in a basketball jersey. And he also wore like his soccer flip-flops. And I was like, this is not going to go over well over there. And he said, no, I promise you it'll be fine. I said, great, just try it. Gets there, teacher tells him change, go to the lost and found, find another shirt. Like, I can't control this person. All I can do is give him the merest guidance and let him go find out. He knows what it looks like to be an addict. He knows what it looks like to heal. He knows what it looks like to care. He knows what it looks like to love. He knows what it looks like to meditate. He also knows what it looks like when I'm not meditating, the kind of anger that comes out of me. He has a pretty good neutral baseline understanding of how to show up in the world. I think I've done the best that I can do. Now it's time for him to figure it out.
So beautiful.
And we have more years. He's only 10 years old. He's not like, he's not 15. He's not 17. But I can see and I can start to prepare myself for what it is to let that person do the things that he's going to do and make the mistakes that he will make, and know that that's probably the best course of action. Make that mistake.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful lesson for me in letting go and surrendering.
Yeah.
And, having him come into my life when he was, 5. It was the first time I met him, and then we got together a few years later. But it's been such a lesson in surrender and letting go and not trying to control and shape and project my views, and just lead by example and be the most self-loving example that I can be for myself, because children or everyone, they learn by watching, and that's all I can do. And I love that that's how you parent, and there's no controlling that we can do. We've just got to show up and be the best example that we can be.
And all of that said, there have been plenty of times I've completely and utterly screwed up. And he's watched me say that I'm sorry like really profoundly sorry. I'm so sorry that I said that. I'm sorry that I showed up that way. I'm sorry that I cursed. I'm sorry that I screamed. I'm sorry that I raised a hand to you. That's happened like 4 or 5 times in his life. And my consequence for that is that I have to tell his father. And as I said, we're no longer together. So if I am in any way inappropriately aggressive with him, again, which has happened a handful of times, I actually have to call his father and explain to him the entire situation, which has been nothing but helpful, because his father now gets to see this is really a deep lineage, ancestral pattern in my body. And I am getting so much help from his father from executing this consequence. He helps me every time I call. Instead of being like, oh, you're a failure, he goes, you know what? You tried your best. You said you were sorry. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep showing him what it should look like. Every time, without fail. The guy is like a rock. He never judges me for it.
So beautiful.
It's beautiful. It is truly beautiful. And then the kid gets to watch me have that interaction. I've apologized to him now. I've been such a jerk. Then he gets to see me call his dad, tell his dad the whole story. He gets to see my interpretation of the story, owning my whole part in it, not skirting the issue, not blaming the kid, but really owning my side. And then hear his father say, you know what, we're working on this. We're working on it all together. This is what we're doing. And that's kind of the best that we can do, I think. It's so deep. It's deep. It's generational, and it's very deep for me. And so we're working it out now in this present form.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can absolutely relate. And how important do you think that vulnerability and being totally open and vulnerable in front of your child is? Because I grew up in a family where it was a sign of weakness to cry. And, it was pull your socks up and keep forging forward. I never saw my mum really get emotional or cry. And it was kind of, if she did, it was hidden, and she would run into the other room and don't see me like this. And this is something that I've been really working on over the past couple of years with Leo, is being more vulnerable with him, allowing him to see me cry, which was so challenging, and allowing him to see me say sorry and go, you know what, I'm very sorry for speaking to you like that. That's not okay. And being really vulnerable like that with him has been incredibly challenging for me, because I had created all this story around being a stepmom and being second best and this third wheel. I had all this junk that surrounded that story. And so for me, this is something that I've been really mindful of and working on consciously. So how important do you think it is that we are totally vulnerable with our children, and not even just with our children, but in all of our relationships?
I think if we're not vulnerable, we're just going to get a really hard shell around our organs, and that's going to kill us. I think the softer we can be and stay, the easier it is for the body to continue to do its job of healing whatever is the ancestral wound or wounds. And the easier it is for us to stay connected to the people around us who matter to us.
I love that. One of my words for this year is softness. It's something that I'm constantly playing with, just being soft in my body and in just the way that I show up to life, bringing an element of softness to everything I do. And it's really been quite helpful.
It's weird. On my puja for the past few months, I have this little watercolor. I make these things all the time, little cards for myself, cultivating a field of softness.
How beautiful.
And these things rotate all the time, but this one stays, it's getting warped by the water from the diffuser. I don't care. It's still there. It's funny. I'll send you one.
Oh, thank you so much. I would love to hear now, what are 3 things you're most recently grateful for in your life?
One is the love of my man. He's so steadfast. He's so handsome. And it's made all the difference. in the recent weeks. I've never had more professional satisfaction than I have of late. And that guy is right there with me.
Beautiful.
And then we get home and he's right there with me. And then I feel sad or afraid and he's right there with me. The second thing would definitely have to be my kid and the knowledge that he has in his soul of who I am and who he is and who we're all becoming. I might have to have 4. The third would be his dad and stepmom, who we call soul mom. They're really making all the difference these days. They're running a sort of a very concierge medical clinic, all holistic, everything from your vitamin infusions, IV vitamin infusions, to supplements, to hyperbaric chamber. I mean, everything. They have everything over there. And their work of healing and their willingness to work and hang with us, that would be my third gratitude. And then the fourth would have to be my team. I don't have assistants or anything, but my team in my business that I oversee, and they're everywhere all over the world. That to me is priceless. Those women and men are really something they're a force to be reckoned with, and I'm very grateful for them. They've changed the whole game for me of what it means to be in business and what it means to support and be supported.
So beautiful.
Sorry, it was 4.
No, that's okay. You live in New York City, and how do you bring that softness to who you are being, to your life, to your work, living in such a fast-paced, go environment?
Well, it's mostly because of my business that I don't actually have to leave my house anymore. My house is absolutely beautiful. I'm looking out at a perfectly south-facing view from the Upper East Side all the way south. And I see the hawks all day above Park Avenue. And I see the park, all the trees. My space here is, really a sanctuary, and I keep it super spare, beautiful. The worst crime that I commit here in terms of gathering things is books, but everything else is bare minimum. And I invite my friends here to work. Every now and again, all the girls come over and we just sit, we cook, and we have all our laptops out and we get all our work done together for hours on end. It's so nice. It only happens a few times a month. I leave as little as possible. And when I do leave, it's something I'm choosing. I have one private client I go and see. I have just a couple classes I teach each month that I really love, that I look forward to. And there's something really special about just being able to kind of be where I want to be and not have to be anywhere.
It's really important. That home environment is a little sanctuary, isn't it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. We are the same. We love our home, but we live on the beach, so we can kind of go for a walk or go for a swim when we need to get out, which is beautiful.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Beautiful.
So I'm curious to know, what is one of the most important things that we can do today for our health? If there's just one thing that we could do, what would it be?
I want to go as simple as possible. Just make sure you're drinking enough water, like tons of water, until, I don't know, it's a little bit TMI, but until every time you use the bathroom, it's clear. That's a great call.
Beautiful. So simple.
That's like the best, easiest call. That's the simplest thing. I can tell you, do your half and half celery and cucumber. I can tell you, go make an acupuncture appointment every week. It's so smart to do. Just shut down. Do yoga nidra, shut down. Do whatever you can to shut down. But really, the water thing is critical. And if I'm not drinking enough water, I can totally feel it and see it on myself.
Me too. There's something I've been doing a lot of research on at the moment, just in my own personal life, and that is the effects of EMF that's having on our cells and our energy. And you mentioned shutting down. How do you shut down during the day? Do you have times where you make sure all the Wi-Fi's off and you're just with yourself? Or do you have any sort of rituals around that? Or is it just kind of you flow with it?
No, usually every day, at least once a day, I do a yoga nidra, or I take a nap, or I do a couple of yin postures. My workspace is basically built around my yoga practice space. So I have a low table where I can sit. That's literally right next to my yoga mat. And then I have a standing desk a few feet away. And so the mat's right there.
Always
so
waiting.
I just sit down. Yeah. And I use it. I use it a few times a day. I'll just take a couple of pigeons. I'll take a little supine twist. Anything just so that I can hear my own breathing. Does the trick every time.
Beautiful. I love that. I'm standing at my stand-up desk right now. As I talk to you, I used to sit when I recorded all of my podcasts, and I would get up and almost not be able to move after an hour of sitting. So I have been standing this whole time, and it's so much nicer.
That's exactly right.
What is one thing that we could do for our wealth? Now, this is about being wealthy in every area of your life, but also, in what you do in the world and your finances. How can we be wildly wealthy? What's one thing that we can do?
Believe. Believe that it's possible for you. Believe that you're worth it. Believe that you can. Believe that you can rally. Believe that you can rally other people to help you. When it came to being in a network marketing business, I was like, I'm never doing that. Never, as in ever. And when it finally came around to, the possibility of it, and I started to look into what it just meant that I have to be a great teacher. If I'm a great teacher, I can earn a lot of money doing what I love, using products that I'm already using for the past 2 decades. All I had to do was choose to believe. That was it.
So beautiful. That belief can really change everything. It changes everything, doesn't it?
Everything. And then from there, I would say, if I had to put it, like onto the ground, I would say there are little tiny actions every day that I take toward creating and maintaining that wealth for myself, which is take care of my team, be a great teacher, be fearless in reaching out to people, offer my services as far and wide as I possibly can, and just take care of people without draining myself. Small, tiny actions every single day.
And how do you do that? How do you take care of people? Is that just by reaching out to them?
Every single week, I have a few rituals with my team. I have a weekly office hours call. I have a Facebook forum where I post findings and we all share observations and questions. I reach out to one person a week who's not expecting me to reach out, at least one person. Usually it turns out to be more when I'm like mixing some blends or, doing something that I really love. I'll just put the phone on speaker and set it right next to me and just call somebody who's not expecting me to call. Say, how can I help you? How can I serve you? Talk to my leaders every week, at least once. Just little things, little consistencies lead to large, full-on sea changes.
There's, I always say over-deliver. And those little things that don't have to take a lot of time can make such a huge difference. These little random acts of kindness, whether it's helping someone in some way or calling someone or helping someone across the street, these tiny acts of kindness can go such a long way, don't they? So this kind of leads me to my next question. What is one of the most important things that we can do for love, for more love in the world, more self-love, and just more love in general?
I think that I would just continue with the believe track. Like you have to believe that it's possible, and then you have to generate the resonance of it. So small acts, again, all the time. Like, I really don't want to right now, to be perfectly honest. My man just came back from his run and he's going to take a shower and then we're going to go to dinner. I seriously could just keep working all day. What I'm going to do, though, to generate more love in the world, I'm going to shut the computer. I'm going to go to him. I'm going to just lay on him for a little while and hug him. I'm going to suggest some great places or things that we could do for dinner. And I'm going to give him my full attention, leaving the phone here.
Beautiful.
That's a great way to generate more love in the world, because somebody walking by the street will be sad or will be angry or something will be happening and they'll see us or they'll feel us. And, maybe it will drive them to call somebody or to do something somewhere. You never know what kind of effect your actions are having. You just never know. You never know.
So true. So true. I love that. And finally, I've got one more question for you. What is one thing that I personally and the listeners can do to serve you today?
You know what? I know exactly what it is. I was just last week making a dream come true. I was at the book expo here at the Javits Center in New York, where my book, which is called Practice You, which is not really a book, it's actually a journal, is coming out in September. And I was signing the full color galley proofs of the book. It was like a total surreal dream come true. And as I'm sitting there signing the proofs, the biggest dream that I have for this book is that it's used in like university settings and high school settings, even junior high school settings, where kids can go into the book and start to unravel themselves emotionally and see who they are and see what's moving them, what's driving them, what's transforming them, what's helping them, what's not helping them. There are opportunities to write letters to yourself at every single age, to walk yourself through prayers and write your own stories and your own poems and songs and prayer, whatever moves you. And the way that you can help me is by getting this book and sharing it with a friend who is in need, a friend who is sad, a friend who is going through a really hard time. I created the entire book and all the paintings when I was basically healing after my mother died. And we got 5 more years with her after she was quite sick. So I'm not complaining, but she died quite suddenly. There was no notice. She had a heart attack. And we had already gotten 5 more years after she was really, really ill. So, but the surprise of it was, there was a lot of grief. And so all the pages of this book were me painting and coming up with the words to heal myself. And so if you can share this with somebody who is in pain or grieving or working toward transforming something that is difficult for them in their lives, that will help me. That will help everyone. It will help me. It will help you. It will help the person to whom you show the book or give the book. That, I think, is a great blessing.
We will link to it in the show notes so everyone can get it. I mean, I've seen the landing page and it looks absolutely beautiful. So we will link.
Yeah. You have to check out the Instagram feed too. It's beautiful. I basically have been documenting the making of it since I started, just for fun, just to see. And it's beautiful. Practice.you on Instagram.
Okay. We will link to that so everyone can go and check it out. I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for all the work that you're doing, for being such a fierce leader, and just showing up all the time and continuing to be the example. I'm so grateful that you just continue to show up and be so vulnerable and honest. That's one thing that I really love about you is your honesty and your vulnerability. You don't, pretend to be perfect. You share these things that you're going through, and that's what I absolutely love about you so, so much. So I'm very grateful and honored to have you share your beautiful goddessness with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. Thank you for all the thoughtful, really wise questions. I do really, truly appreciate them.
Pleasure. Thank you, beautiful lady.
Thank you. And have a great day today. Bye, Melissa.
I don't know about you, but I feel so calm, soft, and goddessy just from listening to her beautiful voice. She oozes presence and calmness and softness. And I just could keep talking to her for hours. She's just so beautiful. So if you felt that and loved today's episode, please subscribe and leave me a 5-star review, because that means we can inspire more people together. And don't forget to tell me on Twitter who you would like me to interview, and make sure you tag me at Mel_Ambrosini and the person you want me to interview using the hashtag The Melissa Ambrosini Show. For everything we mentioned in the podcast today, you can check out in the show notes, and that is at melissaambrosini.com/30. And you can check out all my other podcast episodes there too. So thank you so much for being here, for wanting to be the best version of yourself, and for showing up today for you. You rock. Now, if there's someone in your life that you can think of would really benefit from today's episode, please share it with them right now. And until next time, don't forget that love is sexy, healthy is liberating, and wealthy isn't a dirty word.